Welcome back to the BigFooty BigBrother podcast. I'm ODN and I've dragged myself out of my deathbed this week because this is one episode I didn't want to miss. Joining me on this week's eager panel, I've never seen somebody with so much hostility towards a cat since I last watched itchy and scratchy episodes on Simpsons reruns. Are you calm, Mrs. ODN?
I'm very, very calm. Not.
And he has been as excited as I've ever seen him this week. I'm not sure if it is because of the action in the house or because he beat his personal best repetitions while bicep curling his wife. Hello again, Phantom.
G'day, guys. How are we going? Look, to be fair, it's a little bit of both. It was all happening for me this week.
Oh, good one, mate. Good to hear it. Shell can't join us tonight. She has exhausted herself after spending every waking moment thinking about objects long, green, and edible. No, you deviants. I'm not talking about incredible hog porn, but an abundance of vegetables.
She did actually manage to come up with 32 uses for the zucchini in the house, and about 30 of them were pretty triple X rated. So it might be a good thing she's not here tonight.
Yeah, you think she's actually had a rethink and gone underground for a little while?
I think so. She's gone to wash her brain out.
All right, Shell, if you're listening, can you email me the list? Thanks. All right.
Get better, Shell.
Folks, this week has seen it all. Evictions, power trips, musical tasks, and the Cheetah and Cougar saga continues. Look, first I'll make mention that since we last spoke, Travis reappeared in the house from his sanctuary shack up with Ben via a Lawson magic trick. And I just want to give credit to Shell because she called it, that she said that's how she'd like to see it happen, and it did.
Yeah, she was on the money there. I don't know whether BB's taking tips off of the big footy boards or just listening to Shell, but if we really do have that much influence, hey, maybe try making it a little bit more interesting, Big Brother. About throwing some single girls into the house or doing something else.
Good call. Look, as we usually do, we'll move straight on to the eviction. And this week, well, to start off, first we had the first person saved is the one who got the most save votes this week, and you could have knocked me down with a feather. It was Ryan, double the nearest person as far as I can recall.
Yeah, pretty shocking that one. I sort of thought with him picking on Trav and the fights that he's had in the last couple of weeks, and then I guess beyond that, going back a few weeks, the fact that he was essentially a non-entity in the house, he may as well not even been there. It was surprising to see that supporter base for him, but I guess we've got a Smokey, so good. It livens the game up a bit. What do you think, Mrs. ODN?
Yeah, look, I think Ryan has really sort of changed in the last couple of weeks. I've noticed a little bit more sort of coming out of his mouth and a little bit more talking to other housemates, and whereas in the beginning he didn't really do that. He sort of stood back a little bit, but he's really sort of coming forward with a lot of things.
Yeah, the herd starts to thin out a little bit, then you've got no choice but to sort of step up, and he's doing that.
I suspect I have a real strong feeling, and I think I said this in the first couple of podcasts. He has some pretty funny calls. He seemed quite witty, very dry, and very, very clever. He's a very smart dude, and I suspect that he's probably been given a bit of a soft edit, and now they're bringing him into his own. I think early on they pushed him to the background because there were some bigger characters, and he's not a huge character. He's not in your face and vibrant and full of personality, but he's a funny, astute, clever dude that I think a lot of us would probably just get along with really well, and they're now starting to push him to the forefront. So, like the Melbourne Cup, he spent the first 2,000 on the rail, and now he's going for a bolt for home. It's good. I like it.
Yeah.
He likes to stir Sonia up a little bit on eviction nights, asking her if she actually watches the show, and
that was
she fired a bit of a zinger back at him.
Sonia is actually really, really good when she's not scripted. I think the writers they don't do her any justice. She's quite funny, and I generally like Sonia when she's interacting with the housemates. She's good off the cuff, but the writing for her is just terrible, and you can almost see it in her eyes. There's a little bit of her soul dies every time she has to read out one of those corny one-liners.
Oh, and I don't know if you've noticed, but last year she wasn't doing any of those corny one-liners. This year, she's doing a lot of them, and it's only because they've got a new floor manager on stage. So the guy that used to do it, the guy that the floor manager that was doing it for years and years and years, isn't doing it anymore, and now there's this woman doing it. And you can actually see how uncomfortable she is on the live shows. It's funny.
Yeah, Definitely. It's go back to the old days when she's just make it up herself. She's funnier than their writers are.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first housemate evicted this week was Sandra,
Yeah, thank
and
God
that
for that.
came as no surprise because we all pretty much said Sandra, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Oh,
Yeah, there were no tears
Shell may
here.
have said Ryan, I think.
She might have, yeah.
I think everyone else said Sandra.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no
think you're right.
tears.
Yeah, no, that was that it was pretty much expected, and she handled herself pretty well on stage, and she seems to be a lot happier now that she's out of the house. So
I'd like to put a question forward, though.
what's it?
I'd like to know if anyone else out there noticed that she was the only one that didn't do a goodbye video.
Ah, I can't say I did, but now that you bring it up, on the money.
She was the only one that hasn't done a goodbye video to the housemates.
Did she give them all an
I
X-rated,
don't know.
an R-rated bake? Or...
I don't know, but everyone sort of on the forums are talking about it. So yeah,
I would suggest, given the timing of her eviction and everything else that we saw that transpired after that, that they had to fit into a tight programming schedule, that it probably was just an oversight because there were far more dramatic things happening.
Yeah, I'd say it probably went up on the cutting room floor. I can't, given her antics or lack of antics in the last sort of 2 weeks within the house, she's a bit of a sad sack. She's moping around, not really doing a lot. We saw Priya try and take her into the rewards room, which we'll get to, and she was in bed.
Yep.
That's when everyone else was having conversations. So I'm willing to bet that her parting shot was pretty dull, and it probably just got left on the cutting room floor because it wasn't worth showing.
Yep, no, that's good
like
call.
everything else she did in the house.
Good call. Now, the second person to be evicted the following night was Jason. Now, that was a bit of a turn up for the books.
I was devastated.
There was something like 1.5% between Jason, Priya, and David. That was very, very close, and it could have gone. Once you saw that margin, anybody could have been gone. So, yeah, bit of a shock. But I just noticed his vote had been declining in recent weeks.
Yeah, we talked last year, and obviously you picked it apart and did it to a T, ODN. But we talked about voter fatigue and having to sort of save someone over and over and over again, and it can be a blessing and a curse. You can establish a pretty strong fan base that will back you all the time, but with declining ratings, a bit of a lack of interest in this season, it probably seems as though they're not going to get the same just volume of votes in general. So if you do start to lose a few, it's going to count for a few more. And to be frank, I think that's probably what happened with Jason. I was pretty surprised. I like Jason as a housemate. He seemed like a really good dude. One of the few probably from this season that I'd say I'd actually love to meet him and have a beer with him. He seems like a really good guy. Very entertaining in the house. Had a lot of funny moments, but whilst being one of the sort of big and reasonably flamboyant characters, he probably didn't bring the drama level that others have. Obviously, Pre is the strategic and tactical one with obviously a huge supporter base. Dave has his moments, and I think Jason probably just sort of got left behind and missed some of the votes. It was probably this year's Ricky Lee moment, if we're talking about reality parlance. He seemed like a popular dude, and he just didn't get the votes this week for whatever reason.
Okay, well, when Jason got evicted, I actually thought, oh my God, this is another Ben moment from last year. Like everyone was shocked that it was Jason. Just like everyone was shocked last year when Ben just suddenly got evicted. So that's what it reminded me of.
Conspiracy theorists are about that. Jason going was the shake-up for the fans to go. You need to vote for your favourites for them to stay in, and that could possibly be true. But whether it is or not, I was disappointed and saddened by Jason going. His highlights package showed that he was a pretty funny guy. He was sort of in and amongst most of the things in the house, and just seemed like a good dude. And he had a lovely farewell message as well for Priya and Aisha, but not so nice for Clawson.
Wow, that was a farewell video parting shot and a half, that one.
It was indeed. He ripped right in.
Yep.
I loved it. That's what we watch the show for. ODN, you and I are red hot on the drama, and that's what we want to see, more of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of consternation from Kat, I guess, that he had basically hadn't told her that to her face, but there you go.
Yeah, and look, he probably hadn't. Well, we say probably hadn't from what we've seen, and we've talked about the editing on the show, but certainly seemed as though he hadn't said anything, and he seemed to be one of the housemates that was almost giddy when it finally happened. But having said that, if you're in a house with 10 other people, you're not going to confront someone about something like that. That's just causing undue drama and unnecessary conflict that you just don't need to have. So he played it up, but he told everyone in the public knew his personal opinion about it, and it was the same as Aish. He went into the diary room, said it a few times, spoke to a few other people in the house about it, and made it quite clear he didn't agree with it. So I thought no harm, no foul, really.
Yep. All right, let's move on to Power and the Passion.
Power and the Passion.
So the Power over the last week has been split between two housemates. Sky started off the week with the Power, and Sky handed the Power over to Priya. But when Sky had the Power, probably the funniest moment of the week was when it came to ordering the groceries. Now, as we all know, the housemates all shout out what their must-haves are.
What the hell was she
Sky's
thinking?
trying to remember, and she gets in there and has to write these volumes of different items on a blackboard, and came back with one of the most hilarious results you'll ever see.
I'll put my hand up and say I genuinely felt bad for Sky. I do go shopping with my wife, to the shopping for us, but there's only two of us. So to try and contemplate how much you need to feed a house of 10, you guys have got a family, and it might be a little bit easier for you. I sympathise with her to a certain degree, but at the same time, she, 12 eggs for, that's about a half an egg each for the week. And then she obviously got her volumes confused and thought she was ordering units and not kilograms of the vegetables, which, got uncomfortable as well. But look, they're going to be healthy this week, all greens.
I think it was done on purpose.
You reckon she played it up, Mrs.
I think she sabotaged the shopping.
Oh, I don't.
No one can be that effing stupid.
No, there's.
No, I'm passionate about this.
You can be stupid and also be manipulative and strategic.
No,
I think it's just different. I do think she has smarts in certain areas.
No. I can't. No, I mean, God, a child would do the shopping better.
Oh, yeah. Having said that I'd sympathise with her, I don't think I would have ballsed it up that badly.
Oh, my God. How many lettuces were there?
A lot.
It was like half a trolley.
6 kilos, wasn't there, of lettuce?
I think there was 6 kilos of lettuce and 3 or 4 kilos of zucchinis or something like that, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Who the hell buys 6 kilos of lettuce unless you plan on having... What's that Asian dish that the mince is in the lettuce leaf?
Sancho bao.
Thank you.
I actually seriously thought that she... I'll give her a little bit of benefit of the doubt. Firstly, I can't see what she really gains from sabotaging that. But secondly, I suspect that she thought she was putting down units. Yeah. So if it was me, I would have thought, all right, I'm ordering 6 lettuces or leti.
Yeah.
What's the plural for lettuce? Leti. I'm going to go with leti. 6 leti. and 6 zucchinis, or however many zucchini she bought. And obviously it was misinterpreted, and that got put down as kilos. But I didn't see anywhere in that room either when she was writing it down that it specified what unit you were meant to be ordering in. So maybe I'm giving her too much credit.
Maybe Big Brother has manipulated that.
Maybe Big Brother has, just to make it all a little bit funnier for us. And you know what? Good on him. It was quite funny.
Yeah. One of Priya's tasks was to choose the housemate she thought was coasting in the house, and she chose Aisha, and the deal was that Aisha was offered $20,000 from Big Brother out of the prize money. Gee, I'm surprised there's even 20,000 left. and if she opted to take it, she had to leave the house. And that was prior to Jason's eviction. And if she opted to take the money, she would leave, and the other 3 that were still up, nobody would go home.
I think Aisha's individual one was actually just before Sandra's eviction.
Was it? Okay.
I think it was, yeah. So whoever was going to be going home that night, Aisha potentially would have taken their place, but it doesn't really matter anyway because...
Yeah, she didn't take it. I thought at first, well, she's already got 20,000. And Travi's still in there, so I didn't see her taking it. I thought she was the last one that would have taken it out of that, out of everyone that was in there. So I didn't think it was a very good choice. But then Big Brother got desperate, and he asked Travis to come in, and the offer was made to both of them. 50,000, and you both go home. You got 24 hours to think about it, and off you go to the sanctuary. And my first thought is, they're trying to wind the show up early. Ratings have dropped. They're trying to get rid of the housemates in half the time left. And that's all I can think about. But that would have left about 145,000 in the kitty if they had taken it.
Yeah, and they would have walked out of there once you factor in the 20K that Aisha's got with 70 grand in their skyrocket. So
and what idiots! I mean, God, they're really showing their age, saying no. I mean, that really could set you up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Idiots, absolute idiots.
The two sort of really interesting parts that I took out of it was obviously they got given their 24 hours in their retreat to go in there and discuss what they wanted to do, and Trav basically walked in and said, I don't want to talk about it, let's just enjoy our 23 hours, and then in the last hour we'll discuss things, and Aish really, really pushed him on it. First one that I found really interesting, Trav was consistently referring to it as 25G each. At no stage did he even consider that it was going to be 50 grand between the two of them and that they could sort of pool it and whatever. It was just, I get 25, you get 25, very split down the middle. Yours is yours, mine is mine, which I sort of thought was interesting. It didn't sort of strike me as the way that he would be. And then secondly, what I found quite interesting was Aish sort of strongly considered taking it, was really thinking about it. Trav, was very staunchly against it. Trav was the one that wanted to take it.
Yeah.
I was convinced that Trav would sort of back himself to win the whole thing and go, 25G is nothing. It's not even worth it. So it was interesting that's not how I would have picked it. So it's the discussion that they obviously had and came to the decision that they came to sort of would have centered around that. And I guess in the end, Aish got her way and convinced Trav not to.
Yeah, but what's to guarantee that either one of them two are going to win it anyway? I mean, bloody hell, just take the money and go, you idiots.
Well, it's interesting too, because by not taking it, they're backing each other, one of the other, to actually win the whole thing. It seems, and that was made mention of. And I don't know if the public like that sort of confidence or arrogance.
No, they don't.
That they might go all the way. And
to be fair though, Travi did also mention that if he walked out of there with no 50G but baby Aish on his arm, he's a winner anyway. So in a heartwarming moment.
Yep.
But I guess snap poll around the potty. I'll put my hand up and say, if I was Aish, I would have taken the 20, and if I was Trav and Aish, I would have taken the 50 straight away. Wouldn't have even been a second thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there was a little bit of logic, doing a little bit of strategizing, saying, okay, so we don't take it, therefore leaving 50,000 in the kitty. Everybody's so grateful, nobody will nominate us.
Yeah, that's cocky.
I just found that, and if they do nominate us, boy, are we going to stand up and have a go.
That was pure Trav and Aish logic. Fair to say they're not the sharpest tools in the shed, and they didn't think that one through at all.
No, I don't. I mean, I could see that a lot of the housemates were actually hoping they would take, even though it was coming out of the kitty, they wanted them gone.
Well, there was a little bit of backlash when Jason got evicted, sort of a few people turning around and pointing fingers saying, you guys could have taken his place and been $50,000 richer. So it didn't happen with Sandra, because obviously Sandra was pretty sort of happy to go, if you like. She didn't really want to be there anymore. But with Jace, it was very much, you could have been in his place with 50 grand in your pocket. Poor form sort of thing. I think Ryan and Dave sat outside and sort of discussed at length about how it was a pretty poor decision and how it was a very immature decision, and it showed that they didn't have a lot of maturity and a lot of experience in life.
Yeah. We saw during the week, we were crossing over to the passion side of things here. Look, I've got to say, the passion, I guess, all stemmed from one of their party nights. I can't even remember what the theme was this week, but
Masquerade,
Mask Ball, and a game of Truth or Dare that took place. The Truth or Dare had a couple of highlights. There was Leo and Sky, Who wants to have a chat about that one?
I'll probably gloss over it pretty quickly. That turned into it's a bit of a weird showmance that they have going on. I'm not really sure I buy it, and it seemed initially as though Sky was the one that was really into it, and it was Lawson that was just sort of going along for the ride. But now it seems to have flipped since that night, and Lawson seems to be the one that's quite into it, and Sky's almost playing.
Hang on, you got Lawson. You got Lawson going.
Sorry, Leo.
Yeah,
I think I've done that a few times. Leo. It was obviously discussing
Gosh,
Leo.
I mean, Lawson's in enough trouble.
Lawson's all
He's
tied
got more than he can handle.
Cat's got Lawson's tongue. No, Leo. So obviously, that's what we saw. There was a pash there, and Skies seemed fairly keen on Leo from the start. And Leo was a bit, I don't know, she seems a bit young for me, but I don't know. It's an interesting couple, those two. They almost seem like they're both trying to use each other for the benefit of the game, and I don't know. I can probably actually see it backfiring for both of them. Sky's comment when they were sort of doing the truth or dare again a bit later on in the week, where someone said, "Oh, could you see yourself and Leo working on the outside?" And she said, "Oh, well, maybe if nothing better comes along." That wasn't very nice. I don't think that would have endeared her to anyone, to be honest.
No, but I still notice when Sandra got out and had a bit of a chat about things, or no, I think it actually might have been Jason, said that it was all Leo was the one being fake and Sky's more into it. But I think Sky's showing she's along for the ride as well. So, yeah, you're right. Showmance, that's a very good description for that.
It seems like a mutually beneficial one. I don't think that we're sort of seeing like we did last year with Ed and Jade or anything like that, where one of them is way more into it than the other. They both seem to be sort of happy enough to have the company and also understand that sort of thing can be beneficial to their game.
And it's really harmless, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
They have a little bit of fun, a little bit of a joke with each other, and and generally seem to get along quite well. So, but the big moments in Truth or Dare came when Lawson took the stand.
Wow. Idiot.
Yeah.
crumbled under cross-examination in the vein of every good courtroom thriller we've ever seen.
Did he crumble? He seemed quite resolute and happy to get it out there.
He was about 16 beers down at that stage as well.
Exactly.
He was in a bad way.
He was horrifyingly drunk.
Yep. And he said that he preferred Kat over his girlfriend on the outside, and that he wanted to kiss her now, and everybody else sort of egged them on.
Big point that I want to make here. That was all masterfully orchestrated by Priya. She led the line of questioning to start off with, because I'm not entirely convinced that anyone else there would have had the balls to front up and ask the question that Priya did straight off the bat. She didn't hold back. She didn't even think twice about it. She just went for it.
Yep.
And that was the catalyst for the whole thing just unraveling for both of them, to be honest.
Yep.
So loved it. Well done, Priya. Keep playing the game.
Exactly.
So that little Truth or Dare session led to Lawson and Kat having a bit of an odd drunken conversation in one of the bedrooms.
And one of the world's greatest wardrobe malfunctions.
Yeah, so Kat exposed herself.
The cat got out of the bag?
The cat was the bags got out of the cat.
You mean in the dressing room in the parlour? That was done on purpose.
Well,
she wanted him to see her topless.
And
many theories abound about that one.
Well, I wanted him to see her topless too, just quietly.
I'm going to go a different route, and I'm going to give the Magic Man his due. That was a bit of magic, that one.
Oh, well done, Lawson.
Sleight of hand. Brilliant.
I'll buy tickets to his show. No problem.
I will too if he makes himself disappear.
Oh, we're very punny tonight. It's good.
Yeah. So that was that did light up the boards too, by the way. It probably lit up everybody that was watching Big Brother. Lots of calls, lots of guys going woohoo, lots of girls going tart, mole, slut, get her out of here.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed a couple, but the general vibe was there, and they I guess they were in the bedroom talking. One thing led to another. Lawson tripped Fell on the cat, locked lips.
He didn't fall on the bed.
I mean, it's quite possible that was an accident.
Oh,
He
nah, he was pretty drunk.
he was pretty drunk.
Oh, okay.
I think he did sort of legitimately half fall on her because it was reasonably uncomfortable, and then he sort of went, "I can save this if I pash her," and it was on.
It was on, and they kissed and they made vows that whatever happened from here, they would ride it out together, or or ride together, or whatever it was. They were riding. There was somebody had a whip out. It doesn't matter. I digress. Let's move on. And 3 different housemates actually walked in on them at different times.
Jason, Ryan,
Leo.
and Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then probably the biggest shock for me, because that was obviously reasonably shocking, but you could sort of see it coming from a while back. Lawson was obviously super keen, Kat was super keen, and once Lawson got drunk enough to forget he had a girlfriend, he went for it. But the interesting one was that they both dropped the L bomb.
Yes.
Yeah, you do that when you're drunk, though.
Not with someone you've just kissed for the first time.
Yeah, but he was really under the weather.
Yeah, but it's not like he said, "I love you, mate."
Yeah,
it's not like he said that.
I love you.
I love you all.
No, that was awkward, and I think Ryan probably penned it best. They flashed to Ryan outside the next morning when he was cleaning up, and he said, "I think someone's going to feel like a big dickhead today."
Yeah. Yes.
And sure enough, he would have. Look, this absolutely lit the boards up, and everyone. It's divided the opinion across the country, and some people think that Kat's a horrifying temptress who is just there to ensnare young Lawson, and that she's a cougar and she's taking advantage of a younger man, and she has no respect for Lawson's girlfriend or his relationship and all the rest of it. And then other people sit on the other side of the fence and say, "No, it's all on Lawson. This had nothing to do with Kat. She's completely entitled to do whatever she wants," and Lawson let her on.
She knew. She's not entitled at all. She knew.
Well, this is what we're obviously going to talk about, because I've made my feelings on the board quite well known, and we discussed it last week. I still think this is completely on Lawson. I don't think that Kat's entirely blameless. To be fair, she had the opportunity to pull herself back if she wanted to, but Lawson has done all of this, and he set it up quite well under the thinly veiled guise of having tried to resist her temptations, but he didn't. He could have shut it down wholly and solely 3 or 4 weeks ago when she went to him and said, "I've got feelings for you." There's a really easy way to call it a day there. Kat, you're a lovely person. We're good friends. I don't want to hear you say that again. I don't feel the same way. I have a girlfriend on the outside whom I respect, and I'm not going to do this with. And I'd prefer it if you could not be physical with me from now on. It's going to be awkward. It's not going to be that great for him in the house with her, but that shuts it down. He didn't do that. He left it wide open. He said, "I have feelings for you as well." Then he sat there while he's being cross-examined by the other housemates and said, "Oh, yeah, I prefer Kat to my girlfriend. Oh, yeah, I want to kiss Kat tonight." You're not sending mixed signals there. You're sending a very clear signal that you want to hook up with this girl, even though you have a girlfriend outside.
Well, look, we did say that he should own it, and in that Truth or Dare session, he owned it, but he disowned it again by breaking down and apologising in the diary room, and cry more tears and whatnot. So he's all over the place, and he's talking about how he feels like running away. He can't look people in the eye and all that sort of stuff. So he knows what's waiting for him on the outside. He doesn't want to deal with it. Frankly, what he wants is, Kat's a beautiful woman. He likes her. He wants to try it on, but it's almost like he wants to try before he buys, and if he doesn't like, he can go back to the other girlfriend, and he's trying to keep it.
He's hedging his bets.
He's hedging them very poorly, but he's trying not to shut the door either way.
He is, and look, we don't know what happened. There's obviously speculation and rumour floating around about his lovely girlfriend Candice on the outside, and what happened with the two of them before they went back into the house. I'd tend to go with, if Lawson made the decision to get back with his girlfriend before he went into the house, but whatever happened prior to them splitting up and getting back together, he's made that commitment. He's made that decision. He could have very easily said, "No, I don't want to. I'm going to go into Big Brother, clear my head, come out, and we can talk about it afterwards." Then he goes into the house and he can do whatever he likes. He's made a commitment. He needs to stick to that. That's my personal view on it. And it's very easy to sit here and judge. I'm not in there. I'm not stuck with a horrifying temptress every minute of every day who's getting her boobs out in front of me. But to me, it seems like a pretty simple decision. And to me, this one's on Lawson. And the fact that he keeps coming out and crying, it's really hard, because it does seem genuine. It does seem like he is actually really torn and really upset by it. But it's such an easy fix that it's hard to really feel bad for him. It doesn't necessarily seem disingenuous, but it seems like he's in a very simple position to fix it himself, and he's just not doing that. He's getting drunk or getting emotional or whatever and hooking up with her and then feeling bad about it the next day. Well, don't do it the night before and you won't feel bad.
The power of the house.
The power of the house. We've talked about it before. It is an absolute minefield, and everything is microscoped. Everything is enhanced tenfold. So, but I'd love to get Mrs. ODN's thoughts on this, because you're obviously firmly on the side of it's Kat's fault and she shouldn't have done it.
He's a cheater. She's a whore.
Whack.
That is the best way. I'm sorry to be so harsh. Put it this way. Right. So, any respectful woman that has any kind of friggin' respect for herself at all would not have gone there. Would not have gone there. Not have gone there. I don't care if she doesn't know the girlfriend or not. You do not do that to another woman. Okay? It's just absolutely disgraceful. I think it's totally wrong. I think she's more to blame in a way because of her age. She's friggin' 30-something. She should be more mature. She should know better.
I take offence with that, because he's 23. We're not talking about a 16-year-old kid here that doesn't know any better.
Well, he's acting like he's 16.
He is, but he is still a grown adult. He needs to be accountable for his actions.
Yeah, and she's a grown woman.
She is, and she does as well. I agree with you on that, but I don't think that it's fair to bring an age into this. That's being somewhat ageist.
I think it's more than fair.
Because Aisha's doing the same thing. Aisha keeps saying, "Oh, this is on Kat. She's 30 years old. She should know better, etc., etc." Well, he's 23. He's not a child. He can make his own decisions. So don't sit there and say that he's been influenced just because she's an older woman. They both have the ability to make that decision.
As I said, he's a cheater.
Yeah.
He's done the wrong thing. My opinion, and we'll still be friends at the end of this. But I feel, me being, a little bit older as well, I feel that she should just have had a little bit more respect to the fact that he had a girlfriend on the outside, whether she knew her or not. Sorry, that doesn't come into question. I just think that she should have known better, and she should have gone, look, I just think that this is something that I shouldn't do during the show.
On a personal level, I agree with you. If it's me in that position, I said in my younger heydays that I may have occasionally had a crack at a girl that did have a boyfriend. Not proud of it, but it happened. But now I wouldn't do that, especially in that scenario where you're actually stuck with the person and it's national television and there's all those other things you need to consider. I wouldn't pursue a girl in the Big Brother house if I was a single man that had a boyfriend on the outside. I think that's poor form. But having said that, if I was to say to one of the girls, or someone else was to say to one of the girls in the house, "Oh, got feelings for you," you would expect that person that has a partner to turn around and go, "Look, I'm really flattered, but spoken for, not going to happen," sort of thing. Lawson didn't do that.
No, and he should have. He should
have, absolutely. And that to me is the defining moment of that relationship. Yes, Kat should have bit her tongue and not said anything. She chose not to. She maybe to be fair, her intentions all along, we don't know this for sure, was simply to get that out there, to explain why maybe she was being a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit awkward around him. We don't really know because we didn't see. Maybe she just said that to clear the air. And he's then sort of said, "Oh, well, actually, I'm really keen as well." That's going to light a fire under her. She's going to go, "Damn, I'm in with a shot here. Yeah. This guy that I really like actually likes me back. And I know that he's a bit torn about his girlfriend, so maybe I should give him the option." And then it's on Lawson to not take it, for me at least.
I think it's an unreal world with real world ramifications.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually.
Yeah, look, the real world doesn't exist to these people while they're in there for this length of time, and it feels like they've been in there forever, and the only people who exist, it's almost as though, I don't know, it's almost as though you're in a bomb shelter in the real world as it ceased to exist, and it's a controlled environment, and I just think it does mess with your head a little bit. I do think it makes you forget what's important, and possibly make mistakes. And I think if we can look at Lawson and go, okay, he can't get away from this object of his desire to go and clear his head. In the real world, he'd go away. He'd go, "What the hell am I doing? Don't ring her. Don't go near the place for a couple of days. Get your head together. Decide what you want." All right. And he has the option to do that. In that house, he doesn't, because she's there. And because they turn to each other and they're closest to each other, as he said, the person he goes to for comfort is her. Um, it's 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 just created this perfect storm, if you like, but if we can make those excuses for Lawson to a point that he can't get away to be able to deny her, we can make the same excuse for her.
It's a good point.
Yeah, so she's living in that same surreal world, but she doesn't have those real world ramifications he has.
The wise father figure has shown us the middle ground here. Look, you are right. It is a surreal world. It's probably not fair for any of us to judge the decisions that they're made. But I guess, as you pointed out, I have my opinion about whose fault or who I assign blame to, which doesn't make a lick of difference to anybody, really. It's their decision what they want to do within that house. But the issue that I sort of have now, putting aside who I think is in the wrong and the fact that Lawson cheated on his girlfriend and all the rest of it, is the fact that we talked last week about ownership and taking ownership of your decisions, and he's done the complete opposite of that again. He's hooked up with Kat and said, I love you, then the next day turn around and gone, oh, I don't really love her, and I feel pretty bad about what I did, and then I'm going to go and have a cry in the shower, and I'm going to go into the diary room to apologise to my girlfriend. Then he sat there and inexplicably to me said, oh, no, it's on Candace to split up with me. That's pathetic, mate. Like, clearly if you have feelings the way that you do for this other woman, you shouldn't be with your girlfriend. Now, I understand it's not really fair for him to sit in the diary room and go, oh, by the way, Candace, we're done. I'm splitting up with you. Welcome to Dumpsville, baby, population you. But there's got to be something better that he can do than to sit in there and say, oh, no, it's on my girlfriend to break up with me now. I cheated so that she would do that. Like, that's pretty gutless to me.
All right. So no matter where you stand morally on this issue and whether you think it's our right to judge or not, one thing we should all agree on is that Big Brother was going downhill fast this season. It was on the way out.
Yeah.
And what is everybody talking about this week?
Clawson.
Big thank you to Clawson, because this is why we watch Big Brother.
Tip of the cap. Boosted the ratings. Everyone's talking about it. And yeah, you're right. This is, I love to talk about it. I get very passionate about it. And it's awesome to just be able to sit here and have, debates and discussions about where you stand and which side of the fence you're on. And I love that Mrs. ODN's on the other side of the fence to me. It'd be boring if we all thought the same way. So the fact that this has fired it up, given us something to talk about in an otherwise fairly dull season, is fantastic. And I guess the only thing that you really need to take away from that is, from a human point of view, there is still someone out there that we don't know, and she's gone to ground in Lawson's girlfriend, who is actually being genuinely affected by this. Whilst it makes for great television, you do need to sort of think about that on the side as well.
Yeah, and on the side, absolutely. As watchers of Big Brother, it's not something that we need to consider. But as people, when we're sort of away from watching the show and in our own quiet time, it's just you're only human to actually think of the people that this sort of social experiment leaves in its wake.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's been a lot of comparisons drawn between, obviously, Clawson and Drully from last year, who everybody knows how I felt. I absolutely adored Drully. They were fantastic for the show, but there's a whole bunch of reasons why it just doesn't really feel the same way. And one of them is that Tully's girlfriend on the outside was quite vocal, was on Twitter, was actively stating what she thought about each of the actions, whereas Lawson's girlfriend obviously doesn't want to be a part of this at all and has gone to ground and has asked, for people. Apparently people have gotten her phone number. She's asked people to stop messaging her. She's deleted her Twitter account. She's, privatized her Facebook. The whole works, basically, because she doesn't want to be a part of this at all. So that needs to be respected as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll move on from that biggest issue this season, but we'll move on to Taken to Task.
Taken to Task.
So the task this week was a band challenge.
Another recycle challenge.
Yeah, another recycle challenge, and last year's one was done pretty well, I thought. The sort of two different. There was a girls' band and a boys' band. This one was a group effort, and the band ultimately was called the Caged Flamingos.
I didn't mind that. It's got a bit of indie cred, the Caged
Yeah,
Flamingos.
yeah. Everybody auditioned. They came up with a pathetic song. I can't even remember what it was now. I just know I hate the song. I've dispensed of it from my brain, so please don't sing it.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, it was stuck in my head all week, and it's gone now as well.
yeah,
The sign of a good pop tune, to be honest.
yeah, absolutely. Well, if it lasted all week, it got its sales, and there it goes. The in the auditions, the Sky and David ended up being winning the female and male leads.
I, I think that I wrote very early on and in my notes that this was the sort of challenge that had the capacity to hurt a lot of feelings, and I think Jason's feelings were particularly hurt about not being the male lead. He thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I've got to say I do agree with the choices. Sky was a standout, although there was a couple of girls who actually can hold a tune.
Yeah, they almost probably could have gone for 2 or 3 female leads on this one, to be honest, and not worried with Dave. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I thought Aisha was probably the next best. Yeah, Sandra could hold a tune. Kat could hold a tune.
Kat and Sandra were both pretty good actually, and the other one to mention in the not so good basket was Marina. Oh,
That was shocking. She was right down there with Travis. Uh,
yeah, she was. Travis was at least mildly entertaining and knew that he was no good. Marina was just awful.
um, the Going back to Jason, the boys had a little bit of a joke with Jason. They wanted to pick an understudy for David, and the understudy was between Jason and Lawson, and Lawson was singing not very well, and they were applauding him, saying how well he was doing, and Jason they were picking faults, and Jason was like could not believe that they couldn't hear what he could hear, and of course it was a G up.
It
Uh,
was it was quite funny actually. They had the perfect camera angle, sort of looking through and on Jason's reactions at all time, and the faces he was pulling were absolutely priceless. And or he was sort of taking on board all the criticism as well, going away and trying to enunciate on his notes and finishing that last, really popping on that last syllable as Dave told him to do. It was hilarious.
Did How did you find the choreography and overall performance compared to the
Terrible.
task last year?
Yeah, I'd agree with Mrs. ODN. Actually, terrible. But were you at the show for this one, Mrs. ODN?
No, no. I
I
haven't
don't
been
think you
going.
missed much, to be honest.
No.
No, look, it was pretty bad. It was an average task. Last year it probably worked a little bit better because it was boys versus girls, and it actually stirred up a bit of animosity last year from memory. But this year they all played nice, and yeah, it was pretty average altogether. Probably the two things that we did see was that Sky came out of the whole thing looking like a bit of a diva.
Ah, did she what?
She was particularly difficult to work with. She sort of didn't want to get up early for her casting calls, and then we had a weird little blow up where Kat just basically, threw her toys out of the pram and had a big tanty because Sky decided she wanted to go in and get fitted for a costume first. So
Mm.
I don't know. That was it was interesting, and to me it goes into a bit of a pandemic that the show's had, where everyone does. And Lisa called her out on it way back when in week 2 or week 3 that everyone does sort of baby Sky and pander to Sky's needs all the time. And I think it is probably starting to frustrate a few people. And Sky's been nominated quite a bit, and that sort of generally tends to be a bit of a theme, is that she's not conscious of other people at all.
And she's back to being a little bit of, well, apart from being a diva, she's a little bit of strategy Sky too, because she's um, sort of trying to measure herself up against others in the house. So it's been an interesting week for
Hello,
her.
she's not as dumb as what she makes out she
Yeah.
is.
Anyway, I digress. We'll move on and we can discuss this a little bit more and talk about nominations.
Nominations.
So, nominations this week. Anything particularly surprising?
Yes, Lawson wasn't nominated.
That was a big one.
Yeah, it was obviously the big ones to come out of it. We got the 7. Is it 7 people nominated this week? It's a a cavalcade of stars, if you like.
Seven up. You're right.
7 up, and Priya obviously having the power and going in. First time in a while that we've seen someone with the power nominated and firmly nominated as well. No opportunity for her to get herself out of it at all.
Yep.
And she played the points quite well as well. Once we sort of
I thought so too, to be honest. Yeah.
The only one that she missed is if she had paid attention, she would have seen that probably one more point to Lawson, as opposed to Aish or Marina. Probably would have gotten Lawson nominated. We would have had 8 people up. So, but otherwise she did quite well because she's thought it through and seen herself at the top and gone, well, I'm not going to get myself out of there, but if I can get a bunch of people nominated, then I'm a 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 chance of going home as opposed to a 1 in 5. So, well played by Priya.
Yeah, well done, Priya.
Yeah, I think Lawson. I think he ended up 2 points behind David and Marina, so he would have needed 2 more points.
Yeah, but her last 2 points she gave to Aish and Marina, which were sort of nothing votes in the end. If she had even both of those to Lawson, he would have been up.
Oh, both of them for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, hard to say. It's very easy to sit back at home and figure it out. But we've seen 2 people in the last 2 weeks really sort of nail the power play, if you like, and Sky managed to save Aish last week, and Priya managed to sort of do the best job she could have done realistically of making her odds of staying a lot better. So they're starting to get it, and you know, you've seen it. Priya's the second time she's had the power, but first time she's had this particular element of it. But they seem a lot more tactical this year.
And Priya had no problems throwing around points to her allies in the house.
Absolutely.
Just to create those, you know, to get multiple people up with her. So that was quite interesting. She's not protecting alliances. She is out for herself, which, you know, and you can't blame her. Interesting votes, I guess. Ryan voting for Travis and Aish. Travis for constantly hooking up with Aisha, bicep curling her, and Aisha basically for letting him.
I can understand that. I'm not a huge fan of PDA, and I think it would probably get a little bit frustrating and boring. And we've seen it as viewers. You know, the last couple of years we've had Josh and Ava. Josh and Ava, I think it was last year, and
yeah.
You know, all the couples in the house. You know, it's fine for couples to couple up in the house, but you don't need to be just constantly in each other's face and kissing all the time. It gets a bit annoying, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Kat voted for Travis, and he mentioned about she mentioned about him and Aisha on together all the time, and people thought that was a little bit hypocritical. But I don't see Clawson as being anywhere near as sort of outward with what they've been doing, or as often as Travis and Aisha. So
no.
I didn't think that was a valid. I mean, as I said, it's just a matter of, you know, you're a cheating bitch. You've got no right to speak about other people's relationships, and that's the vibe out there in the public, and it's a stupid vibe.
It is. Another interesting one was Trav giving Kat 2 points for the Clawson thing. Big Brother did basically call him out on it and said, well, if you're going to give Kat 2 points, then surely Lawson should be assigned an equal amount of blame. And Trav really didn't know where to go from there. And I think that's probably true of most people. A lot of people are jumping on that bandwagon. Aish did the same thing, gave Kat 3 points for being selfish and having poor morals. And I think if people actually sort of took a little bit of time to pull themselves back from it, they might reconsider and think that, you know, if it's not 50-50, then it doesn't really make sense to be assigning anyone points just purely for that.
Yeah. Lawson voting for Sky, back to being about the diva thing, being too big for her boots, and the comment she made during that band challenge: "Do not boss the lead singer around." So, So, you know, again, it sort of just backs up what we were saying before, and I alluded to it before. But Sky gave points to Ryan because she wanted to. Because he had received the most saved votes in his week, and she'd received the most saved votes in her week. She wanted to see how she stacked up against him. So she's looking fairly confident. She's wondering if she's favourite or not, and trying to pick off those that also look like they're fairly popular.
It's interesting that she brought that up as well, because in that Truth or Dare game where they went around the table, there were some questions that were raised, and Dave actually got asked who he thought was the most strategic, and he said Strategy Sky. Now, at first, a lot of his answers, it looked as though Mrs. ODN's cracking theory about him having a bad case of the verbal diarrhea had come back, because he was just spitting out some really, really just, I guess, far too personal information in his own mind about that stuff, and it didn't look good. But at the same time, he's probably raised it to the group now, and she is doing that. She's being very strategic in the way she votes and the way she thinks about that sort of stuff. So it's good that someone called her out, and it's probably one of the things that's most endearing about Dave is calls a spade a spade. It gets him in trouble from time to time, and I thought it was going to get him in trouble there, but there was a bit of that this week as well. A lot of people voting for others for what's being seen as not being genuine, or who they're choosing to hang out with. And Marina got that a few times. She got it from Leo and I think from Dave as well. And then Leo got tagged with the same thing from Marina and a few other people. And Priya's been basically given the same thing for trying to hang out with people that I guess are perceived as taking her further in the game. So a lot more strategy this year than we've probably seen in previous years.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. I think Dave had a good week this week in my eyes. Every second week, I don't like him, but he had a reasonably good week. Now, ultimately, these are the housemates that are up, that have been nominated this week. We had Priya with 9 points, Leo with 9 points, Travis 7, Sky 6, and then Kat, David, and Marina all on 5.
Marina's gone.
Well, yeah. I mean, there hasn't been too many. Well, I shouldn't say
there
that.
wouldn't be that many that would be voting to save her.
There wouldn't be that many people that know she's in the house.
She's actually done nothing.
In all seriousness, a bit of a snap poll around my workplace, asking a few people that watch Big Brother, and every single one of them had a different answer to Marina. And then I went, oh, what about Marina? And every single one of them went, oh, yeah, of course. No, she'll go, obviously. Who's going to vote for her? I didn't even know she was in there.
Absolutely done nothing except try to, I guess, steal Travis off Aisha.
Yeah, interested to get everyone's take on that, because I personally think that that's just Daesh being a little bit crazy, possessive girlfriend, to be honest. I don't really get it. She's said quite openly she thinks Trav's a flirty dude. She's said quite openly she thinks Marina's a flirty girl. They're friendly with each other, but I hardly think it's over the top, and she's just losing her mind about it.
But remember, Phantom, we're not seeing everything.
True, we're not. There may be more to it that we're not seeing. Based on what we've seen, I would say that she's being a bit over the top.
Bring Monday night on, I say.
One thing that happened with Marina this week, which sort of, I guess, caught me a little bit off guard, was we sort of mentioned a couple of weeks ago that Lawson had said to Big Brother, the housemates get to list 3 things that they'd like to know about if they happen on the outside. And Lawson had obviously said that he wanted to know if his girlfriend had broken up. And Marina had mentioned that she wanted to know if her dog passed away. Now, her dog passed away this week, which is horrible. Anyone that has a dog knows how hard it is. But that's the second time we've seen Big Brother sort of that mentioned on Big Brother this year. And up until this year, I'd only heard about it as a rumour. So It's interesting that it's come up twice in one season, when after countless other seasons, most people never even knew that it was a thing.
Yeah. But who finds it interesting that that was one of Lawson's 3 requests going in?
I said at the time that I thought it was a really weird thing to request. I don't know what I would personally request. I'd probably have to give it a bit of thought. But if I was going into that house, I certainly wouldn't be saying, I want to know if my wife splits up with me, because I'm pretty comfortable in my relationship. So I don't think it really would be worth wasting one of those 3 points on. So obviously there was something going on the outside with this relationship before he went in there for him to feel the need to ask that.
Yeah.
Very bizarre.
Unless he was thinking ahead about the possibility of having a house romance before he'd met anybody.
He'd seen Kat in the audition room and went, "Oh, I like that. Definitely going to cheat on my girlfriend with her."
Definitely a very, very weird request, but fitting. So yeah, I agree. I'd be looking at Marina. I do notice that there's a little bit of encouragement out there amongst the public for people to throw a few votes towards Marina so that Kat will go home.
Wow.
I can't. Yeah, there's a lot of hatred out there.
The level of vitriol for her to me is just staggering. I don't get it. I don't like. I think that she has no real issue in what she's done. I would put the amount of vitriol that a lot of people have for her, probably for myself, more towards Lawson. But I still don't think he's that bad a guy. I think he's a bit soft, he's a bit spineless, and he should just, own up and be a man about what he's done. But I would be sitting there going, "Oh, everyone should vote for other people that they don't necessarily like just to get them out." That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Little bit of as far as most save votes go this week, we've got Travis and Sky have both been in that position, and haven't done anything. So has Kat, by the way, but she's done something to actually tarnish herself since then. But Travis and Sky up against each other for most save votes. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much.
And look,
It's hard.
Does that determine the winner?
Maybe Ryan still seems like a smoky to me. Priya, it's hard to tell. Priya was only just barely saved last week, but that might have shocked her voters into coming back on board with sort of the levels that they had early on, because she was generally one of the sort of top 2 or 3 of saves. So it's a really interesting week this week. It's a good opportunity to shape up, and we also get to see what Leo's save rate's going to be like as well. So Leo seems like a fairly popular dude as well, but there's a lot happening this week in those save votes.
Well, apparently next week all housemates are going up.
Yeah.
Is it a double this week as well? Sorry.
Yeah.
You'd have to think it would be. In which case, it's probably no point discussing it, probably because it probably will be Marina and Kat. Just looking at those names, I would think.
Yeah, it's you'd have to think so. I guess the one that we've really got no bearing on or no idea on at the moment is Leo.
Yep.
Dave was barely saved last week, as was Priya, but you'd have to think Kat's going to be less popular than the two of them. Although, to be fair, a lot of people do love the controversy, and some people might be voting Kat to stay just because of that.
Yep.
She had a bad run towards the end of the week as well, though, with the sort of, having a little teary about the Sky thing and getting really cut up about Jason's message. That doesn't bode well with the public either. So
Yeah.
Alrighty, move on. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
So, housekeeping time. This is where we discuss everything, as though we haven't discussed enough tonight already.
No, we haven't, because there's something I want to say.
Well,
Bring on Monday night 4 new housemates. Cannot wait.
what is that? I think you got to be. Are we talking 4 new intruders?
Okay, so
same as last year, yeah.
basically 4 new people are going in because they're doing it for the ratings, obviously. They've got 4 really powerful people going in.
And we get to vote. One gets voted out early from each.
Well, I don't know how they're going to do it. They're calling it new blood. So everyone is speculating, and I'm not sure if this is true, but they're saying one of the 4 is going to be Lawson's ex.
Surely not.
I'm not kidding. I'm not joking you. I've seen it on Behind Big Brother. I've seen it on the Big Brother website of the page, and everyone said that, oh yeah, like they've heard that she's going to be going into. She'll be one of the 4, but she's going in to confront both of them.
Former housemate Ryan was the one that sort of started this off, didn't he?
I think it's a load of rubbish, actually. I don't think it's
well, let's see. 2 females and 2 males.
And quite frankly, if she's going to buy into the Big Brother experience to go in there and have her say, then she probably deserves everything she gets anyway, because she's now lost that high moral ground.
She's going to lose a lot of credibility if she does. I'd be very, very surprised if she would be, not to say that there's anything mentally unstable about her, but I'd be surprised. They get screened pretty extensively by psychiatrists and psychologists before they go into the house. Couldn't imagine that there'd be too many people associated with Big Brother that would want to send her in there. Not because she's going to necessarily do anything, but just because it can't be good for someone to confront someone in that way.
But this way, it's quite late in the season to put more intruders in, but I guess they need to shake the season up.
Nigh on impossible for anyone that goes into it from here on out to win it. So they're really just shop dressing now to try and bump up the ratings. I'd hope for, 2 attractive, fit young men, single fit young men. Don't send another intruder that's got a partner. What's the point?
Hang on. I mean, I would agree with that once the audience is all connected with somebody. But look, as we've discussed this year, they're all douches.
True.
Everybody has something unlikable about them in that house. I could I could see a really likable person potentially coming in there
And could take it out.
and gaining some support. I know it's hard to to warm to somebody new, but geez,
There still is always this sort of stigma around the intruders that go in, and this is, I can honestly say that I, for whatever stupid reason, feel the same way, that they haven't necessarily earned it the same way that the others have, and I think that will just be the biggest downfall. They're coming in too late, but I think it's a good idea. Like, this season has been reasonably dull, Clawson aside, and a few other bits and bobs here and there, but just can't see them winning it. But I'd imagine they're going to do it the same way as last year: 2 guys, 2 girls. We vote out 1 guy and 1 girl, and there's only actually 2 intruders because they've got a wrap-up date now. It's sometime in November, I think.
26th.
So, 26th of November. So they're going to have to chew through housemates from here on out to finish up by then.
Yeah. Could you imagine a bug type intruder going in this year? She was a very good intruder last year.
She would have been a front runner if she was there from the start, for sure.
Absolutely. So somebody like that going in amongst this ho-hum bunch, could really shake things up. But I doubt there's too many people out there like that. And it's probably just going to be a little bit of eye candy, and I don't. It's too little, too late. I don't think anything's going to happen with these new people.
I think the hardest thing is going to be, like, if you got a Boog or a Tim, and Boog managed to do it probably for the first time that I can remember. But you get a Boog or a Tim type in there, someone with a big, loud personality that's really in your face. Like, they're probably going to, and Tim did to a certain degree for the first couple of weeks. You put someone off for a few weeks. If you can ride that out while there's still a big other bunch of boring, dull people in there, you're probably okay. Coming in now, there's quite a few sort of bigger personalities left. Most of the, they've sorted the wheat from the chaff, if you like. It's hard to establish that connection with people in the first couple of weeks without getting voted out. So that'd be the hard thing, I think.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it, though.
Yeah. Look, I will have a little bit of disclaimer to what I said earlier. I would be happy for Candice to go in the house if she went in with Kat's ex-husband.
That would be funny.
That would be, double twist.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything else that we want to clean up?
Another quick little segment of dumb stuff Trav says. Comes back into the house and drops a, "Have yous missed me?" And Aish turns around and goes, "You look so sexy." Hilarious stuff between the two of them. He did also have an episode where he was sitting around talking about his flirting with Marina, and the boys were giving him a bit of stick about it, and his comment back to the boys was, "Have yous been talking behind my backs and stuff?" So his mastery of the English language hasn't gotten any better, that's for sure.
Oh, that's too funny.
Ben, you failed dismally.
He did have a classic call with Aish when she said, "Oh, if you keep saying if you go and I go out on your arm, but if you go out on your own, it's going to be different. If I go, it's not like you're going to lose me." And he said, "Nah, of course I would. I'd be straight onto Sky, babes."
100%.
Classic.
Oh, no.
And we've obviously got Ryan now as the Black Widow, but that's been broken by Dave staying.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, Black Widow because he wears black, and yeah. As Big Brother so rightly pointed out. I think once again we'll head to the BigFooty boards on the media and entertainment boards Big Brother thread and see who has won the comment of the week. Phantom.
The segment that everyone waits for every week again. It's we missed it last week. You'd let yourself down on the board this week, guys. You got to pick it up a little bit, lift your game. But we had a couple this week. So the 2 nominations from this week, there was a comment that came through asking who wrote the song, and one of the great posters on the boards, Vast, came back and said, "I wish to conduct all sorts of weird and unusual punishments on them, but it was probably Bombers number 1." So Bombers number 1's been posting a lot. Big fan of Sky, so I reckon that Bombers number 1 was probably a huge fan of the song as well. So good stuff from Vast. And the winner of the week was it was a comment that I think we were probably all thinking perhaps not Mrs. ODN, because she's definitely the moral compass in the group here. But this one came from Barnsey, who said, "At least the girls can make use of all that zucchini." So nice one, Barnsey. Very, very below the belt, very un-PC, but that is what I'm all about.
Is that from Jimmy Barnes?
So well done.
No.
Oh.
No. Could be Jimmy Barnes. Could be Jimmy Barnes posting.
Just Barnsey on the BigFooty boards.
Just Barnsey on the boards, mate. But,
good on you, Barnsey. That was funny.
Yeah.
Great comment.
And
well
they
done.
do. I mean, surely. Yeah, I agree. They could make great use of it. All they've got was zucchini salad.
Oh, what girl hasn't tried a zucchini?
They are delicious and nutritious.
Yeah,
I imagine that's where you're going with that, Mrs.
Right.
ODN. Am I right? Or...
Yeah, especially in stir fries, they're great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. Absolutely.
Good old zucchini.
Nothing ribald about a zucchini at
And
all.
Shell will tell you more about those next week. Is that all we have, people?
Yes. Until
think
next
so.
week, where it'll get really exciting.
Yeah.
I hope that by next week it's died down and we don't have to spend half an hour talking about Clawson, as much as I love it.
Oh, look, no, I'll talk about it if they want to step it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Or he might grab her and push her on the barbecue or do something.
Yeah.
On the barbecue. Wow.
Yeah, well.
Cat for dinner.
You never know.
Yeah. I don't know. I suppose everybody likes...
Might be R-rated next
Everybody
week.
likes a warm snag, but anyway, not to worry. We'll leave it right there, folks, and we'll see what's shaking loose next week. Until then, good night, Mrs. ODN.
Good night, everybody.
And
Sleep well.
good night, Phantom.
Good night, guys, and a big shout out to you, ODN. Fantastic effort. You sound like you're about to die, but I love that you drag yourself off your deathbed, guys. That's dedication. I hope that all our listeners enjoy that.
Yes, well, next week I will rise from the dead and join you once more. Good night, everybody.
Night, guys.
Night.